Rangers are back in action tonight as we take on Hearts in the Scottish Premiership. In today's video though, we'll discuss some big talking points from the AGM that include some exciting transfer news. Not only that, but we'll also go over all the latest Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to cover in today's video. And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys, hope you're all well. Before we do get into today's video, as always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Rangers have announced a winter-friendly match against FC Copenhagen at Ibrox Stadium. The clash will take place in Glasgow on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, with an 8 PM kickoff. The match will mark the Gers' return to action as they step up preparations following the winter break before continuing their domestic campaign by heading to Dumbarton in the Scottish Cup. The Danish opposition should prove to be a stern test for Philippe Clement's side, with Copenhagen the current title holders in their nation, and they also occupy second place in the UEFA Champions League group, heading into the final round of matches. Tickets for the friendly are priced at just £15 for adults, £10 for concessions, £5 for children, and only £1 for junior My Gers members. Season ticket holders will be given the priority access for tickets before the sale opens up to the general public. Philippe Clement insists Rangers' new director of recruitment, Niels Koepen, is the perfect hire due to his experience of finding gems at a similarly budgeted Dutch club PSV. The two Belgians were both at Genk for a 6-month period before Koepen moved to Holland but didn't know each other. They will now work closely, casting their net far and wide to bring in the next talent at Ibrox that can improve the first team. It is understood that the new appointment is an expert in analytics and will continue to modernisation of Rangers' scouting operation that will see more focus in the use of big data to guide decision making. The change has been made after a summer that has seen little return for a £13 million transfer spend and anger from fans over the misfiring attacking signings like Sam Lammers and Cyril Dessers. Clement insists the time was right to bring Koepen in. He said, "We had a lot of talks with different people, myself and the board. We are convinced he's the right man at the right place. He's had a good track record in PSV, bringing in players who are not that expensive. That is the reality in this club. We're not the ones with the most money in the world and can buy whoever we want. We are fishing in not the best pool, but we need to get the best fish out of that as fast as possible. He's the right guy to guide that process. There are several good people already inside of the club to help in that way, but with what he did at PSV, we all think he can be a really important asset." In these days, a lot of people play the games on PlayStation or Football Manager or whatever, and you have the budget and it works out, or it doesn't, you put it in the computer in one side. It's not that an easy job. It's also totally different because you also have the competition with a lot of other teams. I know this because with Club Bruges, I had similar budget to here, and we were competing for the same players. PSV are a little bit in the same world. There are a lot of teams like that in Europe, so it's really important to be the first in the players to recognise them really first. The club have made a really good step, I'm convinced, and so is everyone at the club, that we can be faster and better at that. While Rangers don't have the funds to splash out the level of the Premier League in England, they do have significant resource compared to many clubs on the continent. And as we have seen with the strikers signed by Michael Beale, a multi-million-pound transfer fee doesn't always guarantee success in Glasgow. It's not about the amount, it's about the quality, Clement mused. Here also there are a lot of stories about players coming in who are much cheaper than others and perform really well. In the end, it's not about how much you spend. Of course, the more you spend, the more chance you have to get a bigger pool of players. You have more chance to find the right ones, but it needs to be the right ones. Perhaps part of the problem is the Ibrox clubs focusing too much on the British market, where it's difficult to find value. With Brexit, it's much easier to source signings from, say, South America or Africa, where quality is cheaper to source. Asked if Rangers have to be smarter about the markets they are looking to, Clement said, "Of course, I'm really demanding and the club is really demanding, and that was also the question asked by the director of football candidates. In these talks, we spent a lot of evenings and nights for a long time, with many people discussing around that. Really good candidates who were really strong on the UK market, but didn't really know about the European market. Then you have a big risk that the pool is too small to make the right targets. Niels was one of the best candidates by knowing the markets we need to aim for." In other news, John Bennett has dismissed suggestions that Rangers' balance sheet points to troubled times ahead and insisted Philippe Clement will be back to the shape the team in his image. The chairman was speaking at the AGM in New Edmonton House, where the club held its first meeting since the building was opened at the start of the year. While a £252,000 operating profit was posted for the last financial year overall, the accounts showed a £4.15 million loss. This results came in a period when Rangers enjoyed Champions League revenue for the first time in a decade, and the £19.5 million sale of Calvin Bassey to Ajax, prompting fears for a year without such twin successes. In the wide-ranging Q&A section of the meeting, Bennett was asked if this might suggest an issue for the fans to worry about. A resounding no, he replied. It will not cause any difficulties like we suffered 10 or so years ago. That's over, well and truly. And it will not affect on the manager's plans. The manager has been very clear on the challenges of the January transfer window, but I wouldn't worry about the summer spend, and they've gone through that and opining upon what Philippe wants to do. He continued, I think what's really important is the statement that the club made on Friday was not just about the very important appointment of Niels Koeppen, it was also very deliberately coached in the terms of football board, and I want all our fans to know that this is a process. It's no longer about the backing an individual, it's about backing the club process. That's why you have a football board. That's the football board newly formed this year, is about backing a club process. But rest assured that last summer's spend will have no bearing on our wheel at all. Philippe and everyone at this club want to take it and need to take it. Lastly, Kenny Miller believes that both Celtic and Rangers should target Motherwell youngster Lennon Miller this January. The 17-year-old midfielder burst onto the scene last term and recently committed his future to the Steelmen until the summer of 2026. After impressing during the season so far, his form will have undoubtedly caught the eye of some clubs, and former Rangers and Celtic man Kenny Miller believes he could be a handy addition to one of the Glasgow's big two. Miller made 14 appearances this season before suffering a fractured patella, and Stuart Kettlewell's side are currently missing his talent in the middle of the park. Kenny Miller told Clyde One Super Scoreboard, the one that kind of stands out for me at this moment in time, but he's still very, very young with a few games under his belt, is the lad Lennon Miller at Motherwell. I still think if he was signed by either of the old firm, it would be more of a one of these projects because he's not been in the first team long enough to go and show what he can do. He's still very, very young as well. Rangers and Celtic over the years have definitely just handpicked the best players in the league, but they seem to have moved away from that over the last 10 years or so. Former Rangers striker Gordon Diesel was also in agreement, adding, I think Kenny makes a good point about young Miller at Motherwell. I think he's got terrific potential. He's been injured as well, so I think he's got to concentrate on getting himself back, but he's certainly one for the future. There's not a lot out there. I think the days are gone where the guys like Scott Brown and Kevin Thompson were coming through. You had quite a few. Clubs like Dundee United seem to produce quite a few as well. I don't think there's quite the same standards just now if you look through our leagues. There's plenty of opportunities for the clubs to give younger players an opportunity to go and play, but I don't see the next Scott Brown just now. It may take another season. It might just be that time frame, where it goes for a couple of years, where all of a sudden you'll see 2 or 3 start to spring up, with a little bit of experience in first team football, and then a big club start to take notice. Rangers fans, what do you make of Clement's words with regards to our transfer vision? And do you think we'll make additions this January? Yes or no? Let me know down there in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video. As always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.